Hello, my name is Stefan Krumerac, and me and Bailey Starcher are going to talk to you about the influence of conformity on cell phone use. First, some background information regarding social conformity and cell phone usage. So, social conformity has always been a topic for discussion. Richard C. Emanuel had a study where he pointed at the key points of cell phones being very relevant to conformity. Gave a few scenarios to serve as an inconvenience. In a meeting, suddenly a phone would ring, or driving down a highway behind a swerving driver who is using his phone or her phone. Cell phone usage and conformity has not been studied together before. As Richard Emanuel did, he only said that cell phones could be relevant, but he didn't conduct a study on it himself. However, we do live in a society where a major part of the people living in it are starting to be more millennials and Generation Z. And we also live in a time where cell phones is something that is a given for people to have, which makes this study even more relevant. So therefore, our experimental hypothesis for this study is a situation where two Confederates are pulling out their phones. Conversation would cease faster if there was only one Confederate or no Confederate amongst the participants. Regarding the method, our experimental design for this study is an independent group post-test only design. Further, we're going to talk about participants, and then we're going to talk about the procedure of the study itself. Regarding the participants, they're going to be selected from undergraduate programs belonging to the University of Charleston. Each participant will be provided with a consent form prior to engaging into the experiment. The age range that we're looking for this study is 18 to 25 years, which should be pretty fitting for an undergraduate program where this age range is pretty acquirable. The participants will be randomly selected and put into 3 different groups. And so the optimal amount in order for this study to be successful is for us to have an amount of participants equal to 30.
Hi, my name is Bailey Starcher, as Stefan said earlier. I'm going to go ahead and go through the procedure and the anticipated results for the study. The independent variables in this study are the number of Confederates to participants and the time it takes the Confederates to pull out their cell phone. This study is looking to measure if the participants conform to the Confederates' behavior, and if they do conform, how long does it take for the participants to respond. Participants will be chosen at random and put into groups of 5. The participant will be given a designated meeting time for discussion. Each group will be assigned a topic of discussion that fits the age range and pool from which the participants were taken from. So in this instance, since we're using college level students, their topic of discussion will be issues or changes on campus that the students would like to see happen. The participants will have free range as far as what they would like to bring up or discuss. The conversation will be timed. This time will begin once the conversation prompt is given. The second time a time will be recorded would be when a phone is pulled out either by a Confederate or by a participant, and the third time being recorded is whether or not when a participant starts to lose interest in the conversation, begins to not put input in the conversation, as well as just overall losing focus within the conversation. Okay, so for our experimental groups and our control group, the first one will be the control group. So there will be a total of 5 participants with no Confederates in them. This one will just be a natural discussion setting, and we're just observing to see if a participant does pull out their phone out, at what time do they pull their phone out, as well as how long the conversation lasts once phones start being pulled out. Our first experimental group is a total of 4 participants with only 1 Confederate. There'll be the same prompt given, and the Confederate at the 3-minute mark of the conversation will pull their phone out and begin distancing themselves from the conversation. At this point, we will pay attention closely to all of the other participants to see at that point if they begin to conform and feel comfortable pulling their cell phones out, and how long the conversation lasts with that prompt of pulling their cell phone out. The third group, in the experimental group 2, we're going to have 3 participants and 2 Confederates. So it would be the same procedure as the previous one. The first Confederate will still pull their cell phone out at the 3-minute mark, and the second Confederate will pull their cell phone out at the 5-minute mark. Therefore, 2 out of the 5 total participants will be having their cell phones out and distancing themselves from the conversation, and then we'll just track to see how long the conversation does last, and if any other participant pulls their cell phone out to conform with the other 2 Confederates. So for our anticipated results for our study, we are going off of conformity percentage, which we expect to be highest in experimental group 2.
Anticipated results
due
for
to
our
the
study,
fact of having 2 Confederates,
we are anticipating that once
there
we are able to
seems
run the
in that
study
group
that
that there
the
would just be more pressure
highest
to conform.
conformity percentage out
So
of all
hopefully
of the
by
groups
next
will be
semester
in
we're
group
able to
experimental
actually
group
run the
2,
study. I know this semester got cut
which
short,
is because
so we were unable
with
to
the 2
run it.
Confederates,
However,
there's more pressure
we
to
would do
conform.
like to run this in person just
so
to see
hopefully next
the ending
semester we're able
results.
to actually run the study.
So if you have any further questions, feel free to send me an email. My email will be in the next slide. And thank you so much for your time.